Welcome back to another Sunday Short. What do we talk about when we talk about getting gigs from gigs? Like, how do we do that? I just had a conversation in a webinar recently with someone that's like, hey, I'm doing my first paid gig at this event. How can I maximize this to get gigs from this gig? And I was like, great question. And I thought, let's address this on a Sunday Short. So there's a couple of different ways. One, you want to think about being on stage is like the smallest part. There's my mic. There's my camera. Smallest part of what we do as speakers, right? The really important meat and potatoes of what we do is what happens before we get on stage and what happens after. And what I mean by before is like the prospecting, discovery calls, proposals, contracts, those sorts of things. Those get us to the stage, right? That is the business building activities that gets us consistently booked and paid to speak, gets us on stage. We have to do those things. That is wildly important. That's a huge part of what we do. Then we go on stage, smallest part of what we do. Then what happens when we get off stage? Another massive portion of what we do. Because not only is this how we also get booked and paid to speak, this is our reputation, this is our ability to connect, and this fills us up, but also gives us an ability to consistently get gigs from gigs. So, and set yourself apart from other presenters, because not every presenter has time or does that, right? Like it's just not a thing. So we are at an event to serve the audience, but also the event coordinators and planners. So there's a couple of different ways that you can utilize gigs to get gigs from gigs. One is show up and consistently serve your event planner. So as soon as you get on site, what they're going to say is, what can I do for you? How can I help? The next thing out of my mouth is always, I'm good. What can I do for you? I already got all my information in the pre-event meeting. And if I have questions, I'll definitely ask them. But my whole goal is just to be like, I want to be the easiest speaker you work with. Point me to the auditorium or the stage. I will talk with the sound people. I will get sound check going. Like, I don't need you to help me or be my PA. I got this, right? I'm the professional. Just point me where I need to go. And they appreciate that because they're busy running the event. They're busy helping a lot of people, not just you, right? So I want to let them know, like, I've got this. And if I have questions, I'll definitely ask. So don't stress. And then the next thing is, how can I serve you? What do you need from me? Is there, especially if I'm not speaking for a couple hours maybe, and there's tasks that maybe they need to get done. I'm like, can I run this table? Can I make copies? I've literally offered like, hey, because I was at an event in Tennessee and they were like, oh my gosh, we're out of like, those strips with the plugins, and they were like, where do we go? Like, do you need me to run to Walmart? Like, I have a rental car, like, let me run and just get some things for you and I'll be right back. So I offered to actually do that for them and they were like, really? And I'm like, yes. Do you know what that does? People remember those things because they're not just going to remember you on stage. They're going to remember how you made them feel in this process. Did you make their lives easier or harder? Right? Like, that's the question you have to ask yourself. Okay, so you're serving the event planner. Another thing you can do to maximize these gigs is to connect with people off stage. So you're serving two different audiences. Typically, you're serving the event planners and then you're serving the audience members. And the audience members are going to be potential gigs for you also. So when you get off stage and you're having these conversations, go to lunch with them if you're beforehand, or if they invite you out to dinner, definitely go, if you're able to. And just having those conversations, taking photos and making those connections. And when you hear people say to you, that was amazing, we absolutely loved it, you really inspired our team or our students or whatever type of audience you serve, when people are coming at you like that, then I think it's okay to be a little aggressive and say things like, thank you so much. I would love to, to continue to serve, your teammates or your students. How can we make that happen? I want to let them know that I'm here to continue to serve them, thus potentially getting gigs from gigs. So you're collecting business cards, you're handing out business cards, but I don't just hand out a business card or, I have one of those scanned business cards, right? A dot card, but I want to make sure I'm taking their information too, because I'm not going to necessarily trust them on the follow-up. Not that I don't trust people, but I want to be in control and show like, hey, I was really excited to meet you. Like, I would love to continue this conversation in the future. So how can you continue to do that afterwards? Now, again, with the event planners and coordinators, I would definitely host post-event meetings. And not every event will have the capacity for that. So I always do like a follow-up email. If that's not the case, I want to respect people's time and bandwidth, right? Because a lot of times events I speak to, they take like the next couple of weeks off after an event, especially if they took all year to coordinate it, right? So I want to be mindful and respectful of their time, but how you continue to follow up and still work with them is great. Now, if the event went off like a hitch and was awesome, then one of the things I typically do, because in my world, they don't bring in the same speaker year after year. They won't bring back the same speaker for about 4 years. So I like to, say in my event meeting or put together an email of like, hey, based on being at your event, the energy, the amazingness of it, here's a couple speakers that I recommend for the future. So I'm helping them after the event make their next year event so much easier. So there's a lot of different ways to continue to serve the audience and event coordinators after an event and even at the event. So this is about reputation and it's about authority, but it's also, and reputation is very much tied to your service, right? What do you want people to think of when they think of you after they've worked with you as a speaker? So as a speaker, there's so many speakers out there that probably kill it, but then some event coordinators, I've heard actually like certain bureaus actually say, this is an amazing speaker. They get booked all the time, but working with them, we have to warn event planners and decision makers like they're really difficult to work with. They have a lot of demands or this or that. There's a lot of different reasons why it can make someone difficult to work with. But do you want that kind of conversation? Like, do you want to be an amazing speaker but difficult to work with? Or do you want to be an amazing speaker and amazing to work with? Something to ask yourself. So that's all for today. Just want to chat about that. And yeah, let me know how I can continue to support you guys. Bye.